Welcome to my daily review. Today is Tuesday, May 28th, and a lot of people felt like it was a Monday today. They're saying happy Monday. Well, it was a happy Monday, but no, really, it was a happy Tuesday. We honored the veterans as a Memorial Day on Monday. So today is Tuesday. Welcome to my daily review, the update of the stock market action today. And you can see the Nasdaq powered higher today. It made a new high and closed at a new closing high. The new daily high was 17,032. If I could zoom in here a little bit. There it is, 17,032. They had good volume today, if that matters to you. It is getting a little bit, it's 4.9% above the 50, and I don't want to be a worrywart, but, I think about stuff. And yeah, new closing high, new trading high, couldn't be more bullish, but it's 4.9% above the 50. We know when it gets to 6, it gets a little wonky, so that's not that far away if it continues higher like that. Anyway, yeah, it was up 99 points or 0.59%, closed at 17,019. We'll call it rounded up to 17,020. So the Nasdaq is the healthiest of all the indexes. So I'm not going to look at the other ones. I just wanted to point out today, gap higher after a 3-day weekend. If you're like me, you're thinking, okay, it's a sucker's play. It's going to sell off. And it did. It came back in. So it traded up to 17,016, then came back in and made a low here on the pullback of 16,931, which filled that gap from Friday of what 947 or whatever. That was the high on Friday. So we were good to go, and then it took off and ran up to that 17,032, pulled back and then ran into the close. There's buyers out there, especially in these Nasdaq stocks. So the Nasdaq looks fantastic. You can see it closed the gap from the morning there at 947 was the high on Friday, and the low today was 917, 16,917. So definitely just chugging higher in a power trend. The trend is our friend. Don't get stupid, just follow along and follow the leaders. And I'm going to go through a bunch of stocks today, making highs and leading their respective groups. Anyway, so that means I got to start with NVDA, which is the king stock. And this one did not close any gaps. It just wants higher prices. What did it close at? 33 today, and it's up to 42 after hours. I had, I don't know. I had arguments with some people over the weekends. I don't really call them arguments, just a difference of opinion. The guy was talking about the double top here, where, every cup with handle, every base breakout is pretty much a double top. So I don't really read too much into double tops. But, the Fibonacci people said, oh, the fib extension 661.8 is, I don't know, what was it, 1,060, something like that. Well, it's already like 80 points past there. So, everybody's got their own style, everybody's got their own strategies, and that's fine. My history of doing this is just when stocks like this break out of a base, they usually run 20 or 25%. So, yeah, it's not there yet. To me, I think it's going to base, around 1,200, pre-split, which is next week, I believe, June 6th or something. Anyway, around 120 would be a price of, 1,200 would be a 10 for 1 split at 120. Maybe it, bases at, 1,150, something like that. So I don't know, anywhere between 110 and 120, it'll split next week, I think. I don't think this thing's going to continue to just blast through 1,200, but you never know. It's extremely strong. But just my history, of trading the stocks normally, nothing's for sure. Nothing's written in stone. Nothing works all the time, but normally a 20 to 25% move would be time to start taking, profits and forming a base. So to me, this trade on NVIDIA, I mean, you can't enter it here because, the trade's pretty much over. I mean, for this particular move, broke out of a base last week, moving higher, up now 5 weeks in a row, going on 6. So this is a special stock. It might continue to keep going. It might not base at, you know, a 20 to 25% move, you never know. But anyway, NVIDIA is strong. Just play it one day at a time. If you own it, you know, it just seems like, you know, a lot of people own it. It was definitely set up in a base and broke out of the double top. And and it had only ripped you know, from the 970 to I don't know what, 180 points, whatever. Um Anyway, a lot of people own it. NVIDIA looks fine. I don't see any sell signs except for it starts getting too big for your portfolio, and that makes people nervous. So you want to trim a little bit. That's fine. But you know, if you bought this in this base here or back in this one, then there's nothing left to do but hold it or maybe just trim some and take a shot at something else. But you definitely want that one in your portfolio. Another of the big Nasdaq names that I think look good, you know, of course, it's got the double top. Actually, this one has a triple top here at the 430, you know, the 429, and now it's right up here 430 again. But you know, every one of, you know, the cup with handle patterns has a double, or in this case a triple top, so I wouldn't let that deter me. This is Microsoft. It just had an inside day today, doing nothing wrong. You know, it looks to me, I believe we have this on our ready list. If not, I'll probably put it on this week. Maybe I didn't put it on because it is a slow mover. You know, it's not going to move like NVIDIA or a CrowdStrike, but it's a slow and pokey stock, but it looks set up to move higher. Microsoft looks good. And the other one I want to show of these so-called Magnificent Seven is Google, the internet king. Yeah, just finding support at the 10. So this is important. Broke out of the base, continues to find support at the moving averages, you know, most recently the 10. So Google looks good as well. You know, the trend is your friend, and as long as that trend continues, you know, as long as you hold it and these moving averages are trending higher and it finds support at the moving averages, you know, you're going to be good to go. All right, so that's it for those mega caps. I don't want to get into the other ones. Oh, I lied. I'll do Apple because it was flat as a pancake today. It had good news out of China. You know, sales were picking up allegedly, but you know, broke out, you know, gapped higher and then just sold off the whole day. And you don't really want to see that closing near the lows of the session there. So anyway, sorry about that, Apple shareholders, which there are a lot of them out there. Closed at 23% of its daily range. So, all right, I'm going to move on from those stocks. I've got to get to some of my favorite stocks. Not really. The shipping stocks. This is global sheep list, you know, lease, ship lease. You know, as you can see the group, you know, one of the top groups. This one was one of the leaders in the group, and it's been up, you know, I don't know, about 9 weeks in a row. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yeah, this is gonna be the 8th week. But yeah, just blasting higher, making new highs. Just want to point that out. Making new highs is bullish. This transportation shipping group, very strong. Zim has got these David Bryan ants thing, which didn't help Celsius today, but just an indication that institutions are buying. You can see this one gapped up. This is why we pay attention to these gaps. And it formed this little shelf here, pulled back to the 10, and now is traded higher. And today it's 14.2% above the 10. So there's no way, Jose, that I'm going to be buying a stock that far extended from its 10. But, you know, if you own it, congrats. If you bought it out of here, the base, you know, you're looking good, and it's an easy hold for now. Anyway, I don't want to get too deep into the shippers. Another group that I have to show is the chemical stocks, chemical specialty stocks. You know, not again, I don't know, kind of a discrete group, not especially strong, 62 out of 197. But this one made a gap higher, 12% move. This is why we pay attention to them, and just kind of formed a shelf. Pulled back to its 21, now found support, made a new high today. So that's why we pay attention to those gaps. You know, there's always going to be sellers when you're trading around new highs. You know, it's just profit taking, right? It's just that NVIDIA has more buyers than sellers. Really a phenomenal stock. The other one was KRO, another one of these chemical names. You know, making new highs, blasting out of a base here. Pull back to the 10 EMA, and today made nearly a 10% move with volume. So Chronos Worldwide Chemical Stock looks good as well. The other one was ASPN. This is one that we have on our gappers list where it gapped higher and then just continued to move higher, had these little ants, and then pulled back to the 10 and found support. Today it made a new high, 30.28, and then just pulled back slightly. So that one still looks good. Like I said, you got to expect some profit taking when you're making new highs. And another favorite group of mine, the miners. Southern Copper was on our ready list this week because you got to embrace pullbacks because the trend is your friend. It's trending higher. The price of copper is higher. And this one pulled back pretty sharply last week. It's rare that you're going to find this thing pull back. How much was it last week? Yeah, more than 6%. So it formed this erratic type of a wedge pattern here where it made this high and then pulled back sharply 3 days in a row. Right here, there's the pullback 1, 2, 3 below the 21, then rallied above. So I thought, I like it above like 120, 120.37. If it can hold above there. Yeah, Southern Copper looks good to me. The trend is higher. It's like I said, it's going to have some, sellers near the tops. When they start making new highs. Here it made a new high, sold off. Here it made a new high, sold off. Made another new high and sold off. So probably going to make another new high and sell off because that's the pattern. Anyway, I didn't even check to see if the commodity was up during the session today. This is Freeport McMoran. Looks pretty good actually. I would consider putting this one on the list as well. Making this little pinch pattern here. A flag looks pretty good. 52.52 looks pretty good to me. That one could turn up. Tech is another one of these minor stocks. This one bounced off the 10. Once again, sold off 3 days in a row. Down to the 21. Now it's above all moving averages. And yeah, that one looks pretty good too, above the 10. So the miners are just in an uptrend. And, you're going to see some tops and then pullbacks, tops and then pullbacks. Make new high, then pull back. And that's the pattern on those. Anyway, so I did the shippers, I did chemicals, I did miners. I've got to get to some of these data center plays. Like Dell. Oh man, this one is fantastic today. Trending higher. They report earnings Thursday. So, running ahead of the print, that's always a little scary. I would take a little off ahead of a move like that. Vertiv did absolutely nothing today. That's okay. That's fine. SMCI was up and down. This thing is a magnet to the 50, and it's a downtrending 50, so that's not a good thing. But probably have to wait for another raised guidance or a blowout earnings report for these ones to get rolling again. Or the super micro though, it should be. I think it's fine. They've got the fundamentals. They're doing phenomenal sales growth, earnings growth. So it just got a little bit ahead of itself and pulled back. But I wouldn't give up on super micro. Anyway, I've got to get to the energy plays and auxiliary play off of AI, which is, the semiconductors, the software. I went through all this over the weekend, so I'm not going to do it again, but just Constellation Energy sold off this morning. This is what I'm talking about with these early morning, they prime the pump, and pre-market's up $3 or $4. Look, that's going to have a massive move, makes that new high in the morning. Not a new high, but it made a high of 234.78. 5 minutes into the session, just dives. Sellers come in, the pros selling to retail folks, but then buyers came in and bought it up today. It still closed higher, but it was down, 221. Wow. So it went from, and this is a heck of a move for a early Tuesday morning off the 3-day weekend. 234 at 9:35 to 221. So a 13-point move in about 20 minutes. So it's a sucker's play. It's just exit liquidity when you see them, really jumping in pre-market and then they sell off early in the morning. That's an old trick. VST, this one didn't have that same type of action. This one just made new highs. Just a super strong stock. They have that nuclear component like Constellation up 4%. I guess I got to go to the 5 minutes since I did it with Constellation. Yeah, made a high here and then pulled back, right? Closed the gap and then just continued higher the rest of the session on the 5-minute chart. VST making new highs. It's nothing more bullish than that. Looks fantastic. NRG, this is one that I was watching today. Oh, because it made a new high, but reverse lower, closed near the lows of the session. But like I said, these machines, they don't have memory, so probably just bounce off the 10 tomorrow and continue on the trend. You can see the trend is your friend with all these that I'm showing here. So I'm not belaboring the point. Quanta Services, Power, I believe, PWR. I believe that made a new high. Did I believe that's why it's on here? But anyway, yeah, the trend is your friend. Pull back to the moving averages to the 51 time after the breakout, and then ran up and then did it again. So, and then it's just, trading above its moving averages. And like I say, the trend is your friend. So those energy plays look good. I guess I have to do GEV. Yeah, GEV, why not? Fantastic. Made a new high today. IPO that's just, it looks like they mispriced the IPO and it just wants higher prices. What price that is, I don't know, but institutions want to own this thing. It's got good volume, at $107, 5 million shares traded today. This is getting good dollar volume. Yeah, institutions want to own GE Vernova. And anyway, I'm going to get out of this energy pack and go to really my truly favorite group, and that's the retail group. I like them better than semiconductors, believe it or not. Uh, for me, it's easy to track. It's easy to look at their data points, and they can't hide stuff like software stocks as well. Deckers, I mean, just Hoka and Uggs are selling, and they're just blowing out each quarter, even though they sandbag it. They got a upgrade today from Truist, finally. Better late than never. I mean, but if you look at the monthly here for the last 25 years, Truist now gets on board. So anyway, jump on board. But it broke out of a base and is trading higher. So Deckers looks fantastic. ONON. This is an interesting stock for me, and I believe this is beginning of the institutional advanced phase. If you read the life cycle trade book, this has just been in an IPO base for a long time. Institutional due diligence, and now the institutions have done their due diligence, breaking out of this, what I would call just a stage one base. And you could see the earnings line, it was trending higher, then got a little choppy, and now trending higher again. And so is the stock. If you don't want to afford Deckers or Crocs, this one looks well now. Now we had this on our Reddit list a couple weeks ago, but now it's broken out and gotten extended. And I couldn't recommend it buying it 10% above its 10, but I would say, put it on your watch list, and if it pulls back anywhere near these moving averages, that it's game on for this one. I think it's going much higher, just based on the chart pattern. And both of them, Deckers and On Holdings, are definitely taking market share from Nike. And when you're, 13 billion market cap, it doesn't take much market share to take from a 140 billion market cap company, just a couple percent, and that makes a big difference for a company that's 10 times smaller. So anyway, Nike is looks like a bottoming pattern, but there's no way I would touch anything like that. It looks horrible. Crocs, another double top here. I'm just teasing my friends today. Double top here, double top. Yeah, pull back, which is called a handle, and then blasting higher. That looks like textbook move right there for Crocs. And, like I said, 20% from a base, 146, call it 145, 29 points, maybe we'll see it above 160, 170 here. Who knows? Just let it run. To me, yeah, I did buy that stock, and I'm just going to let it run, and hopefully it does well. I mean, hope's not a good strategy, but if you have a good buy point and raise your stops along the way, this one looks fine to me. So the low there was 144.73. The low today was 150.76. I'd probably put the stop there, 150.72. is the high there. The low is 76, is a 4-cent gap there today. So that's something to be mindful of. You don't want to get stopped out just on a pullback to a moving average. Anyway, that's enough for the shoes. Oh no, I lied. I got Skechers here. Skechers making a nice move today. Wants to join the party. You know, it had this big breakout, 11%. This is why we monitor these gaps higher. You know, it ran up the pullback to a moving average. And today, you know, instead of buying Deckers and On Holdings and Crocs, you know, they decided to buy Skechers too and pump it up 3%, make it a new 52-week high. So congrats to the longs at Skechers. That looks fantastic. A couple other retail names that I like that I had to buy, then I did unconventionally because I was a little perturbed. Sometimes, how shall I say this without sounding like a condescending jerk? You know, Ulta Beauty sold off, and it had nothing to do with elf business, but you can't deny the fact that institutions are selling here, and it sliced its 50, but it, you know, made a low and then retested the low and then retested it again. So I figured I'm going to buy a small position ahead of earnings. Earnings turned out well, even though it was down to 138 after hours. So I added as it went through its 50 here. And so now I'm holding full position, but it was, whoa, wait a minute. Elf was up today. It was down most of the day, you know, and now it was up 1%. So I'm glad I bought Elf. It looks fantastic. It was down most of the day. You could tell I've been out and about a little bit today. Yeah, it was sold off at the beginning, which is normal, you know, profit taking, but definitely buyers came in, man. Look at that close. High volume close for Elf Beauty. Wow. Looks fantastic. I expected some selling, just some sideways action in between like 180 and 200. And if you could get it there at that 182, whatever, broke above this downtrend line. That's another area that got me more confident, you know, as it rallied through the 50. So sometimes, you know, you just got to take a hunch that like Deckers and Elf, you know, if you follow retail, you know, those two are doing well. And so Ulta Beauty really didn't correlate to Elf Beauty. So anyway, that's my story and I'm sticking to it. One one double top that's not working is Celsius Holdings, you know, had the 99, came up, had the David Ryan ants. Remember, I told you when the stock makes the right side of the base really fast like that, it usually pulls back. So it looked like it had a nice little handle going here, had a nice little up day on Friday, and I put it on my red list. I thought it was ready to move today, but then Morgan Stanley comes out. Yeah, it was up 3-something% on Friday. Morgan Stanley comes out and says they're not losing market share. Some people are saying they're losing market share. They're not losing market share. They're just not taking it as quickly as they were in the past. So we know there's slowing growth here. If you just look at the numbers, you know, I mentioned this on their earnings, you know, you don't expect them to have triple digit sales growth, all right? Or even 95, but this one slowed to 37. Now it's probably going to slow some more, which is okay. But they also said that their margins are shrinking because the price point was like 4.7% lower, you know, in an inflationary time, you know, investors want to see higher prices. Celsius is lower prices. I don't know, probably could hit their margin. So anyway, Wall Street just shoots first and asks questions later. Technically, the stock is broken, in my opinion. I mean, it sliced the 50 today, closed above it there. You can see 82.13, closed 1% above it, but that's a pretty decisive break with massive selling. So maybe some shorts covered into the close. Yeah, after the sell-off, shorts say, hey, I got a 10%, 12% profit here. Let's take it and move on. So I wouldn't say that's institutional buying. It just looks like a little short taking profits there. So anyway, dangerous stock, pretty volatile trader, and that was on the ready list, and that happens, you know. I thank God I didn't buy it, but that happens. They don't all work out. But if you were to short every double top that looks like this, you'd be broke. Because you know, we've seen a lot of these break higher and significantly higher, like our friend NVDA, you know, this had a double top. Hello. Yeah, sold off to a moving average and now it's up. I don't know. I don't know. I'm not going to belabor the point, although I am. Sorry about that. All right, I gotta get to some software names because there's a couple that I like here. I thought I put this one on the ready list, but apparently I didn't, but it broke above its downtrend line today. I think it hit there. If I zoom in on this, it hit there one, two, three, four, five, like six times. Okay, and if a trend line touches three times, it's a valid uh, point there if it trades above it. So it's a valid trend line. Traded down to the 21. Traded through the 10 on Friday, then made a decent move today, but pulled back into the close. The KKR and company sold 17 million shares, but I believe they're out of the way. That deal is done, and it should be, I shouldn't say smooth sailing because that makes it sound easy. It's never easy, but I think this thing trades higher. So app looks pretty good to me. ZETA, Zeta Jones. Oh yeah, it pulled back to its 10, that's all, and found support. So this one, that's pretty good. I think that after a big move like this, finding support at a moving average is a positive thing. So I just wanted to point that out from Zeta. And then HubSpot, another software name, was up today 8%. I guess the scuttlebutt is, King Google is considering buying it. But once again, if you're just looking at, technically this is breaking above a downtrend line as well. So definitely one to watch. That's HubSpot. All right, the last ones I'm going to do are these biotech stocks, which are going berserk. This is CALT ticker symbol, the biomedical stock, yeah, only up 69% today on news. And we also know that INSM broke news this morning. Positive phase 3 trial, and this one was up, yeah, double, more than a double, 119% in a session. We'll take that. These are penthouse or outhouse, so people who owned it bought it at 32 and held it all the way down to like 22 this morning. Probably weren't feeling too good, but they're in the penthouse today. So congrats to the longs there. And the last one I wanted to cover was CORT. They Corcept Therapeutics, CORT, had a 15% move with a nice volume there. Had a positive phase 3 trial for Cushing's disease. And that stock looks, I pay attention to these moves. I mean, I'll put them on the list. I have like 60 stocks on the list, but you got to follow these because as I showed you with some of these other ones, they tend to pay off. Transmedics, a gap here back in November when the rally started. Yeah, nice 51% move. Then it gapped again here in April, and now it's just trading higher. So this one looks fantastic, and that's why we follow those big gap moves. Anyway, that's it for me, except for I have one more thing in honor of the great Steve Jobs. CAVA reported today. Now, I didn't go through all the retail restaurant stocks, but you can see they're a top group, and there's a lot of them: Wingstop, Chipotle, Texas Roadhouse, and CAVA is definitely in that group. Sweet Greens, there's a lot of them that I like, but they reported. I did look at the report. It doesn't have it here on the market surge data, but they did beat. They did a beat on both top and bottom line on the revenues and on earnings, and they guided higher. Their same store sales, I believe, was 3 to 5%. And once again, near a top, just some profit taking here. There was nothing wrong with that report that I could see. I'll look at it again tonight, but I think this is just profit taking. Just after a big move, take some profits, right? It went from, what do you call this here, 29, 31, all the way up to $80. So take some profits, and we'll just see where this thing finds support. I think that's important. And Box reported earnings this afternoon, and it was flat on the session. So I looked at the report and didn't see anything wrong. I'm gonna have to look at that. I'll have more in the morning on those. Hood is on our ready list, and it's actually a stock that I bought. And they reported today a 1 billion buyback program, a share buyback program this afternoon. So it's up after hours. You can see the double top here. Once again, I'm just teasing it now. I'm being a jerk. The double top pullback and supported the moving average. looks like it might break out tomorrow. Don't want to get ahead of myself, but you know, we'll see what happens. $1 billion buyback, you know, for an $18 billion company is pretty significant. You know, it's more than 5%. Anyway, that's it for me. Thank you for watching at mcstockcharts.com. We never give up. Thank you for watching.